Sweden is very climate oriented and green, if you call it, as a country, and wants to push this questions, both as an industry, both as politicians, and as a society. So that's why I should say that the efforts being made in Sweden are very much based in this kind of approach. On an energy level for 2015, approximately 15% biofuels in the market, divided in around 5% on ethanol, and the rest is biodiesel of different kinds and biogas. HVO is actually a marvelous product. It's a diesel, but based on bio raw material. So it's the best of things. It's actually something that you can use in any diesel car because it's actually a diesel.
It's quite interesting that we're able to use renewable raw material in order to make an ordinary diesel out of it, as we're doing today. The raw material we're using is residues out of the forest from the pulp industry, which gives us a possibility to reach very high greenhouse gas reduction levels, around 90% by comparing to ordinary diesel. If it, let's say, manufactures in an ordinary way, for example, for North Sea crude. So there is a very efficient way to decrease the greenhouse gas emissions by using residues out in the forest. And our intention is to increase the use of this kind of material. Today we have a rather small plant, it's around 160,000 cubic meters per year, but in the 2030 our aim is to reach around 25 terawatt hours. That correlates around 2.5 million tons per year, based on mainly from the residues of the forestry. And now we are looking, today we're using a crude tall oil as a raw material. Tomorrow, in a couple of years from now on, it's very close, we have the intention to start to use lignin instead. Lignin is available in larger quantities as tall oil here in Scandinavia, or actually in Europe. So we hope that we are able to take out around 2 to 3 million tons per year of lignin. Correlates to those figures we're talking about. So this is a way to change the ordinary operation in the refinery from running fossil crude oil to be able to run renewable raw materials, so to speak.
We are looking forward to the future and the development that we have in Sweden regarding the climate effect from transports. And we right now see an increase in biofuels, but that's just one part of the solution. You also need to continue the energy efficiency to make a car more fuel efficient, and also to introduce new techniques like electric cars, and in the long run, fuel cells.
When it comes to natural gas, to begin with natural gas, it's a fossil fuel. It will probably have a part in the solutions, but not in the long term, because Sweden wants to be fossil independent and become the first fossil independent state. So I don't think that natural gas will be a long-term part of the solution. Power, electricity, that will definitely be a part of the solution. We can see that already today, where we are buying hybrids and chargeable hybrids and actually electric cars as well. So they will definitely be a part of the solution in the future. That will also be a part of the market for the suppliers in the Swedish market.
Just to summarize, I think that's what I've already said a little bit, that it's very important that you have conditions that are known to everyone and they know that they're stable. And I mean, within Europe we have problems regarding support for biofuels according to legislation in EU. So I think that could be improved, really.
That is the reason why we have to leave the system with the tax exemption into kind of mandatory inblend system, because of the state aid rules, which stops us to use this tax system, so to speak, in order to promote the use of renewables. So the European Commission and European legislation stopping us, yes, definitely yes. And also lesser materials from the agriculture side stopping us to use it. That is not okay, because they have other interests. And I think we are starting to have a fruitful discussion within the European Commission to start to understand that there are different possibilities in different regions in Europe.
The biggest challenge, I would say, would be to live within the European directives, because the European directives put a ceiling on the raw materials. If it's food based, there is a ceiling on 7%, and we have the ILUC rules also, and we have the state aid system. So it's actually the EU directives that puts limits today to what we can achieve in the market. Of course, the raw material is a challenge, because now Sweden is using much more raw materials, much more biofuels in a European context than the average use of fuels is in Europe, much higher. If you look at the United States is the main producer and main user of ethanol. More than 50% of the production and use of ethanol is in the United States, and that is ethanol based on food-based raw materials. So it's corn-based ethanol being used. They have in their RFS, they have some the regulations. They have some percentages also for what they call the second generation biofuels, which is actually biofuels with a higher degree of decarbonization than carbon dioxide reduction. The United States is pushing forward. I think that Brazil and the rest of the world are pushing forward, and I think that Europe is actually taking steps backward at the moment.
Our economy had increased all the time, and we have increased the usage of renewables. So using more renewables do not affect the economy. It's actually the opposite.
Well, it's actually I could say it's a movement within the Swedish society, and the people that work in the different companies. I mean, they don't live in a different world than anyone else. So the climate problem is real, and we have to do what we can to reduce the implications for the climate.
We need to have a long political decisions which works up to 2030 or even further out in time schedule to 2040, for example. Because the technology is more or less there already. I would say that we have come so far in the technology development, so that is not the problem. The problem is to have a political decisions which gives us the possibility to make the investment, start to build, start to use those raw materials which are available up here in Scandinavia.